It's the weekend and it's time for our Super Rugby preview. Our Sport 24 editor Garen and chief writer Rob are joining me in studio. Guys, I want to know what your predictions are for this weekend. Rob, I'll start for you. Why don't you kick us off with the first match?
Hi Jen. Yes, first game, Cheetahs, so the first South African team to go abroad. So that is always an interesting development in Super Rugby. The South African teams go on a 4-match trip, each of them to Australasia, usually 2 games in Australia, 2 games in New Zealand. The Cheetahs open their account against the Melbourne Rebels, which is a game I think that Garen will probably agree with me that they will want to target for a win, because it looks like potentially the most winnable game for them, and it could actually define their tour, whether they have a bad one or a good one. I'm a little bit inclined towards the Cheetahs. They haven't played particularly well yet. I don't think they've really hit their straps, but they did beat the Bulls in a derby in very wet weather in Bloemfontein last week. So I think they'll be hoping for perhaps dry conditions in Melbourne, a chance to sort of play typical Cheetahs running rugby a little bit with people like Johan Goosen and Willie Leroux sort of influential in their backline plans. And I've got them winning perhaps by a reasonably narrow margin. You can never take a tour win for granted, but I've got the Cheetahs winning, particularly because they haven't yet lost to the Melbourne Rebels. They've played them 3 times, I think, historically, and have beaten them on all 3 occasions. So I'm going for the Cheetahs win. All
right, well, our fingers are crossed for the Cheetahs. Garen, who do you have for the second match?
Second match, Stormers at home against the Hurricanes. That match kicks off at 7:10 on Friday night. Both teams lost last week in their first matches. The Stormers went down horribly to the Lions. Right. We talked about that on Monday. It was disgusting, as skipper Jean de Villiers mentioned post-match. The Hurricanes, they lost to the Sharks. That was probably a little bit more to be expected. But they're back at Newlands, the Stormers. They made some changes to their backline, which I think strengthens the side. They've got Yakatata back at fullback. Gio Aplon moves to the wing. Damien de Allende is back in midfield with Jean de Villiers. So the team looks far more solid, especially in the back line on paper. I think the Stormers would have had a rollicking from coach Alistair Coetzee this week. I expect them to be a lot more cohesive and at home in front of hopefully a full sold-out Newlands Stadium to perform far, far better. Again, the match should be fairly close. I'm leaning towards the Stormers. I think they'll win by 6 or 7 points. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the New Zealand Hurricanes, with their dangerous backline, did cause a few headaches for the Stormers, especially in the first opening minutes of the match. But I'm going for a home win, Stormers by 6 or 7.
Well, it can't be worse than last week, so.
Right.
And the third match, Rob, what do you have for predictions?
Yeah, a very, very difficult game to pick, Jen. It's the Highveld derby between the Bulls and the Lions at Loftus. So you've got the Bulls finally getting a home game. They always, just psychologically, they always seem to be much more primed to play well when they're at Loftus. They've made a couple of changes to the team, a couple of them enforced because they've lost Piers Spies for several months again, which is not ideal for them because they don't, I think Garen will agree with me, they don't have the greatest depth at loose forward anymore. So a bit of a dangerous situation for them. I had to think long and hard about this game, and I think Lions fans will probably want to kill me because, of course, I tipped, as so many other people did, the Stormers win against the Lions last week, and instead the Lions thrashed the Stormers 34-10 and really played some exemplary rugby. But I'm going for the Bulls. I just think that the desperation factor might just get the Bulls across the line. They have to win this game. They've lost their first 2 matches, so they're on the back foot. If they're to have a say in the competition, they need to win at Loftus. Home ground advantage, perhaps a little bit of a factor in their favour. I'm still not convinced totally about the composition of their team, but I still think they might just have enough in the tank to be able to knock over the Lions. And I say that very cautiously because I'm not comfortable about this prediction at all. But Bulls by a very tight margin.
All right, we know you're not comfortable about that prediction. Garen, how can people challenge your predictions online?
Well, you've heard our predictions. The best thing to do for readers would be to visit the Sport24 website, join us on Super Brew, challenge us. We've all made our predictions. We haven't been very good to date, but visit us on the site, sign up today, and good luck.